Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. My name's Kathy, and welcome to Yarn with Heart. Today, I have a few things to talk about. One is a work in progress. Also, a couple of blankets that I completed in September, and 3 hat and scarf sets. Also at the end of the video, because it's my husband's birthday this coming week, I will share a family tradition with you, and if you'd like to stay and hear about a recipe that we have for most of our family birthdays, it's a cheap and easy and very tasty cake recipe, and I'll put that at the end of the video. I know it's not yarn related, but it is a family tradition, and I thought I would share it in case anybody would like to hear about that one. I know on Wednesday's video, when I was sharing about a yarn haul, I wasn't as energetic as my usual self. And I thought I would just explain, sometimes I get woken up at night. It's almost like back in the times when I had newborns. People remember those days when you get woken up multiple times. And there's crying. It's usually crying from my feet or my calves. Sometimes it's crying from me, because I get cramps at night sometimes for a few days in a row, a few nights in a row, and that's what happened. So I was tired. Last night I had a much better sleep. So yeah, I'm feeling energetic again. So here's to better days ahead. So I just wanted to explain, if you see my Wednesday video and you think, oh, she looks a little tired, look at those bags under her eyes. That's the reason why. So that's what's happening there. I'm also having a little trouble figuring out where to look on my camera because I've switched my phone. It's no longer in the vertical. It's switched to the horizontal. So I'm not absolutely sure where I should be looking. So that's a thing right now as well. So for today, my work in progress, this is something that I'm doing to submit for Judy's creations in crochet and her flower crochet along for October. And I found a pattern. It's called Emery's Cardigan. It's by Tracy Wade from Red Spotty Patterns. And I'm doing it with Yarn Bee Sweet Minis in Parakeet Parade. I got this yarn from the United States, a person that I know named Keli Kreates. She had some mystery bags, and this was one of the yarns that I had in my mystery bag. And I'm making this cute little cardigan. Not finished yet. I still have sleeves to put on it. And as I'm making it with the yellow and the orange, I added in a little bit of white, which is this Grindle Big Lisa Premium yarn that I got from Mary Maxim some time ago. I thought this looks a lot like a Halloween candy. I don't know if anyone there's had candy corn before, but it looks quite a bit like candy corn to me. I don't know whether I will make a hat to go with it, but I'm kind of enjoying how this is turning out. And yeah, this coming week I'll work on the sleeves. The pattern itself was for a preemie size, and I'm adjusting the pattern to make it 3-month size. And I've also adjusted the pattern to be a different border. It called for buttons, and I chose not to do the buttons. I'm just doing a simple trim around the cardigan. So that's my work in progress. Oh, and for that one, I'm using a 4.25 millimeter hook. It called for a 4 millimeter, and I increased the hook size, and I've also increased the number of repeats to make it a longer cardigan. So that's some of what I did that increased it from a preemie size to the 3-month size. Now, as far as finished items, these blankets are ones that I did in September, but because they're on their way to casting off the cold this Sunday, I thought I should show them here now. Otherwise, I won't get a chance to share them. This one is simply called Baby Blanket. It's by LeiLei Knits. The name is LEI Knits. I found it on Ravelry. I love the texture of this blanket. And the border, I'm trying to remember, I think I did a row of single crochet, a row of double crochet, then single crochet, and then half double crochet to finish the blanket. I did this one in Bernat Giggles. Sadly, I found out that Bernat Giggles is discontinued, and it's one of my favorite baby yarns. So very, very sad not to be able to get this one anymore. And I've looked multiple places to see if I can find some, and I can't find any anymore. I did get a yarn from Cambridge Fibers that's similar to Bernat Giggles. I don't know if it's exactly the same, but that's in my stash right now, and that's the last of what I can find that is this type of yarn. I made a little hat, a little baby hat to go with that blanket, and I don't think there's a pattern for this one. I think I just grabbed what yarn I had left and made the size of hat that I could to go with that blanket. The second blanket that I had, this one actually started as a baby blanket size. It's called Bernat Wavy Ripple Blanket, Baby Coordinates, and I found this one on Ravelry. All of these patterns will be typed up in the description below if you wanted to find a copy of these patterns. This one was a free pattern. I don't remember what hook size I used for this one. I think I used a 5.5 for the baby blanket, but this one I don't remember what hook size. I adjusted this. It was a baby blanket in the pattern, but I adjusted it to be 170 stitches across, and it allowed for a teen size blanket. I worked it in Red Heart Comfort in the colors of orange, yellow, and blue. I don't think I can get the whole thing on the screen. And this one is This one was with some yarn that was given to me by a friend named Sally. She also gave me some other colors of yarn, and I'll be using it to make one of my blankets for 2024 that goes to casting off the cold. So this was with Red Heart Comfort. My suggestion, if someone is doing one of these chevron type blankets and wanting to adjust the size, what I did was I actually when I was casting on my my cast on row at the beginning, I put some extra stitches at the very beginning rather than just chaining in the exact number that I thought I would need. I chained an extra 5 or 10 chains so that when I got toward the end, I could measure and see if I needed an extra few. I wasn't going to have to tear it all out and try again. So knowing that this one was 170 stitches across, I probably did 180, and then that way if I got toward the end and said, oh, I'm going to need 173, I had those extra chains at the end to be able to use. And then when I was finished the blanket, I just picked the chains away that I didn't need. So if that's a little bit of a time saver, I wanted to share that tip with people. I hope that wasn't too confusing. I hope that that tip will help. Now for hats and scarves that I did, I found that I used a couple of yarns that I've never used before. One of those was homespun. I had a couple of balls of homespun, and I think I got this, it was homespun stripes. I think I got it from Len's Mill, and let me see if I can find the color that I used. Mango chutney. And I did a scarf and I did a hat. The scarf was my own pattern. I just worked with the yarn to see what I could do with the leftovers after the hat was finished. Now the hat is called Lakeside Beanie. I used a 6mm hook. I will use this hat pattern again. It was easy to work and really worked nicely with this yarn. It was a pattern by 5 Knots North, and it's a free pattern on her blog. I did this one, I increased until 60 stitches around, and I think that made a really nice adult-sized beanie. And again, I linked to the I will type out in the description how to get to that pattern so you can find it if you'd like. Another hat pattern, which I loved working with this yarn because it came from a friend, Angela, from My Precious Yarnery, and I got this from a mystery box from her. I've been cherishing this yarn and looking at it for a year. It's ice yarn, and I haven't ordered from Ice, but it was such a joy to have some ice yarn. And now, after enjoying looking at it, it was time to use it and pass it along to someone else. And I did a second beanie in the Pacifica Beanie. This one I did a couple of weeks ago, and I've linked it down in the description by Suzanne Carlson at Crafting Each Day. I think it turned out nicely in this yarn. Now, this particular ice yarn, I looked on the site. It was Tolera 74441, and it's no longer available at Ice Yarn, but I think they have others in the same type or variety of yarn that you can get. So I also made a scarf to go with it. And the third one, I finished the Rory hat and cowl that I had spoken about previously, and this was by Michelle Ferguson at Two Brothers Blanket, and it used Patons Canadiana in toasted gray. So I just finished this one. And again, this one is available on Ravelry. Also, it will be available in a blog hop. I'm going to link that information in the description too. So if you're interested for that cake recipe, I know it's not about yarn, but it's also a family tradition. And if it were to help someone who's looking for an inexpensive but tasty way to share cake with their family, I don't know if I can mention the actual brands, so I won't do that, but what we call it is a pudding cake, and I make a cake mix and put it in a 9 by 13 glass pan, and I just cook it according to the box recipe. Then after I take the cake out and let it cool quite a long time, I take a kitchen tool that has a large hole on the end, and I poke about 16 holes into the cake. I make 2 packets of pudding. Again, I won't mention the brand, but when I make those packets of pudding, instead of using 2 cups of milk, I use 1.5 cups of milk, and I make them one at a time. The first one I make, and I pour it into the little holes that I've poked into the cake, and then after that's just briefly been there, I make the second one and I use it like icing and ice the cake with the pudding, put some saran wrap over top of the whole cake, and put it in the fridge. So the person who's having a birthday, they get to choose what flavor of cake they'd like and what flavor of pudding they'd like. And that's our special family tradition, and our special, we call it pudding cake, that everybody looks forward to for their birthdays. So that's just sharing a little treat that we do each time someone is having a birthday. So I hope it is enjoyable, and if it's not a birthday, maybe it's a special everyday treat that is easy to do and it's cost effective too. So yeah, and maybe it'll become a tradition for some of your families as well. And so to everyone, thank you so much for joining me, and have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your crochet, enjoy your knitting, and I hope to see you next Friday. Take care.